Joining me now to unpick this is entrepreneur and renewable energy enthusiast Dick Smith. Thanks for joining us, Dick.
Good to see you.
You've alerted me to this late last week. This is extraordinary. In simple terms, why can't all that solar energy and wind energy be pumped into Broken Hill?
They generate 10 times as much energy than they need in the small city of Broken Hill. But I was talking to the mayor last week. He said once the power line went out, which was the coal power line from Victoria, once that went out, all of the renewables got turned off. And that's the problem. If you don't have baseload power, don't believe what the CSIRO says. It's a lie. If you don't have baseload power, you don't have renewables.
You need it to drive the system, to stabilise the system.
Absolutely.
For them to add in on top of.
We have an alternating current system that's synchronised from Cairns to South Australia, and it all runs exactly at the same speed. Now, you start putting in solar and wind, no one has yet designed an electronic way of stabilising it. So the whole thing got turned off for 10 days. They spent $47 million on the battery, but that would only power Broken Hill for 1 hour. So that was pretty useless. So it's an example of what's going to happen to the whole of Australia if we believe we can run, as the CSIRO says, 90% of our country on renewables and storage. It's impossible.
It's analogous to a degree to what happened in South Australia back in 2016.
Exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
Once you knocked out that baseload power, had all that renewable energy, all that wind energy available, but you can't restart the system with that. You had to wait till you got gas and coal energy back.
Why doesn't the CSIRO tell us this? This is what I can't get over. Now, I've been defaming the CSIRO for 12 months now, saying their Gen Cost report is a lie. It's the opposite to the truth, because they're saying renewables and storage are cheaper than everything. I'm saying that's the opposite. They're so expensive, they're unaffordable. Do you know what? I think there are 6 directors on the CSIRO board. Not one of them has lifted the phone and said, Dick, you're wrong. Not one of those directors has said to the management, let's send out a press release saying Dick Smith is wrong.
Well, and Aidan Morrison, like you, has been picking this apart for the Centre for Independent Studies. Very meticulous analysis of all this, demonstrating why it's misleading and wrong. And I wrote about that in the Oz on the weekend. This is a problem. I want to get your thoughts when we're on that, because, sure, there's always going to be renewable energy, and we all see the advantages of it, but you need that base load, as you say, as this clearly demonstrates in Broken Hill. So one of the options for the base load is emissions-free base load being nuclear. You must have been impressed by what's happening in the US with Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle and Google all going in big, major investments in nuclear energy.
Yeah, but what I'm worried about is Australia. I'm worried about our grandchildren and the fact that we're going to delay. We'll go to nuclear eventually. But let me tell you a story. I ran some ads in the Australian saying if we're going to have submarines, they have to be nuclear. And my friend said to me, Dick, you're wasting your money. Labor will never, ever accept nuclear. It's an ideology from the 1950s. It will never accept nuclear. One day I woke up in the morning and Labor had accepted nuclear. Why did they do that? Because it was the only answer for the interests of our country. Now, it's the same with nuclear energy, and I'm really worried. I want the CSIRO to redo their Gen Cost report and tell the truth this time, and that is that renewables and battery are so expensive they're unaffordable.
Well, in fact, they don't do a cost on that. This is what's laughable about this debate. We find, Labor and other critics of the coalition plan saying, coming up with all sorts of numbers for the total capital cost of nuclear, saying it's unaffordable. They've never put a total capital cost on the table for this renewables plus storage model.
And our energy minister recently announced this floating wind farm off Illawarra, which he said it's going to provide power for 1.5 million homes. And the Sydney Morning Herald repeated that. But no one said, but what happens when the wind's not blowing? It won't provide power for even one home. So you can't run 1.5 million homes off intermittent wind power. It's impossible.
It's extraordinary, Dick. Thanks so much for being a voice of reason on this. Dick Smith there, and the people in Broken Hill now are still living through this, a renewable energy experiment out there. Don't inflict it on the whole country. We've got to learn from this.